Joining us to debate this, we've got Ian Pryor, the Communications Director for American Crossroads. He's on the right. And Jammu Green, former 2008 Clinton campaign advisor and Fox News political analyst. She's on the left, but actually screen right there. Jammu, let's start with you. Did Russia help Donald Trump win the election?
Well, it's certainly what the intelligence community is reporting, and the idea that Donald Trump went from cheerleading Russia to get more engaged in our election to now protecting them is outrageous. This is just another example of his inability to put our national security interests above his ego. They delegitimized our election. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, a Libertarian, anything, we are all Americans, and we should all be up in arms.
Well, Ian, the CIA said they thought that Russia was involved, but the FBI said there's no evidence to that effect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to back this up a little bit. We're talking about two stridently anti-Trump publications, the New York Times, the Washington Post, running with information provided by unnamed Obama administration officials. The same Obama administration that said, if you like your health care plan, you can keep it. That said, Benghazi was caused by a video. That said, the ISIS was the JV team. So, no, not everybody should take as gospel information that comes from unnamed Obama administration officials. And that's what we have here.
Okay, let's talk about something else where there's a firestorm of media controversy. Media is blasting Rex Tillerson, the guy who runs ExxonMobil, as a big oil billionaire with ties to Vladimir Putin. Take a look at some of the recent media headlines against him. The Washington Post is right there. It says Tillerson might be the worst Secretary of State contender on Trump's list. Houston Chronicle takes a shot. Politico, not surprising, and Vox as well. All right, Jammu, do you have a problem with him?
Yes. Putin literally put a medal on him. The idea that, again, this is going to be the top diplomat who has made it very clear his allegiance with Russia, coming after or being very much against the U.S. sanctions that went after Russia a couple of years ago. This is another example, again, of Donald Trump's inability to drain the swamp, as he said he would, but of the unprecedented involvement of a foreign government, not just now in our election, but the access they will have in our State Department is shocking.
Ian, this guy, who a lot of people had not heard of till last week, was recommended by Condi Rice and Robert Gates, former Secretary of Defense. So obviously, if these two vets of cabinets said, this is the guy who would help you, Mr. Trump, probably ought to take a look at him.
Yeah, definitely. And look, I think it's encouraging that 4 years after mocking Mitt Romney for calling Russia our #1 geopolitical foe, the media and Democrats are starting to come around on Russia. But the bottom line is Rex Tillerson ran one of the biggest, most successful international companies in the world. He brings an outsider's expertise and perspective to a department that is sorely lacking in that. And yes, he has done deals with Russia on behalf of his company. But just because they are a geopolitical rival does not mean that we need to start World War III. When they need to be checked, we check them. When we need to work with them and our interests align, we do that.
We
and
need
the fact
to check
that somebody
them now.
Understands
we
Russia
need to check them now. And you know who agrees with that?
Important.
It's Marco Rubio.
Say, look,
it's John
understanding
McCain.
Understanding this is important. The best country in the world needs to work with the biggest country in the world when their interests align. It's that simple.
Who are willing to put their country first, and instead of Donald Trump, and I guess as well as my colleague here, instead of putting our country first, going into these Trump talking points and living in a world of delusion, denying reality, Russia was
a rival in 1941, and we had to work with them to win World War II, did we not?
Any place in our electoral process.
All right.
Period. It's not going to change the election, but we need to investigate this, and there are smart Republicans who are saying the same thing.
I think the Senate will look into it. That's their job. All right, Ian and Jammu, thank you very much for joining us live early on this Monday morning.
Thank you, Steve.
You bet.